Can I?
Ali Abunimah.
Yeah. I mean, JJ has offered us all of the propagandistic talking points that don't stand up to scrutiny, and that's one of the points of the media coverage. The only side that is being destroyed now is Palestine. We're witnessing the destruction of Palestine in Gaza, in the West Bank, in the Naqab, in the Negev, where Bedouins are being ethnically cleansed. The destruction of Palestine has been going on for almost 70 years, and J.J. Goldberg has the chutzpah to say that people in Gaza who are fighting for their survival and their existence are trying to destroy Israel. This is the kind of Orwellian propaganda that is coming from the Israeli government and its apologists in the media here. Let's talk about the false claims that J.J. Goldberg made about the ceasefire and Hamas. You know, you can only make those claims, J.J., if you ignore the fact that after the November 2012 ceasefire, not one rocket came out of Gaza for 3 months. Who did violate the ceasefire, JJ? It was Israel. It bombed Gaza dozens of times. It killed and injured dozens of people. It fired on farmers and fishermen. Even the New York Times had to admit Israel's frequent ceasefire violations. JJ, the answer, if you want to stop rockets, is time-tested and easy. Israel can stop attacking and killing people in Gaza. It can lift the siege. Also, let's talk about, you know, it's not just having Palestinians bleed on television that's the point of coverage. Where are the Palestinian voices? Yesterday, the Electronic Intifada published a statement by 91 civil society leaders in Gaza, people from the Red Crescent, from the universities, from the media, Supreme Court judges, 91 members of civil society, and they said, we do not want a ceasefire without justice because going back to the status quo is a living death. The choice we're being given is between being blown to bits or dying slowly without the world listening. You know, when there's a ceasefire, J.J. Goldberg isn't agitating in the nation, in the forward, for an end to the siege. What we have is this liberal Zionist navel-gazing about how to preserve Israel as a so-called Jewish and democratic state. Enough Palestinian babies have been blown to pieces for this insanity. Enough of lecturing Palestinians that their resistance is illegitimate or futile.
Well,
Palestine is being destroyed, JJ. We're witnessing the destruction of Palestine, and you have the chutzpah to claim that Israel is in danger.
Well, what about this point that Ali raises of the sea?
I ask you also to respond to the point that Ali Abunimah raised about who violated the ceasefire. In one of your recent pieces, you wrote that the last 7 years have been the most tranquil in Israel's history, that is prior to what happened on July 8th. Terror attacks are a fraction of the level during the nightmare Intifada years, just 6 deaths in all of 2013.
Right.
So could you address specifically the ceasefire, who violated it?
The ceasefire, well, first of all, it's important to know that Hamas did observe the ceasefire from November 2012, after the pillar of defense, I think they called it, until this outbreak. There were rockets being fired by other groups operating out of Gaza. Hamas was trying to enforce the ceasefire. It did a decent job of it, but it wasn't perfect. And when there were rockets, Israel went and bombed the rocket squads. And sometimes when Israel bombs the rocket squads, it hits
hospitals,
civilians.
Mosques, schools, children, everything. It hits everything.
Ali Abunimah, this issue of having a ceasefire and then negotiating the end of the siege.
Well, I mean, if J.J. Goldberg says that the siege is cruel and it's collective punishment, all of which is true, it's a violation of international humanitarian law. It's, in fact, a war crime to deprive people under occupation of their basic needs. Then why not tell Israel, lift the siege and then talk? Why is the onus always on the occupied, the dispossessed, the refugees to prove their good behavior to the ghetto masters?
Well, let's just put that point. Let's just put that point to J.J. Goldberg.
Keep going.
No. JJ, why don't you respond?
I haven't finished my point.
No, Ali, you can make a second point after, but let's just address that one point.
Well, first of all, he's right that depriving the occupied people of their basic needs is a war crime. They haven't been deprived of their basic needs. They've been kept poor, but they...
Ali Abunimah, J.J. Goldberg said there's a monotony to massacre.
I'm still trying to get my head around that phrase, frankly, Amy. Just the callousness of it, the inability to absorb the enormity of the catastrophe. Someone calculated that if Gaza were the United States in terms of population, we're talking about, 80, 90,000 dead in the space of a few days. There isn't a single family in Gaza that hasn't lost people. We're talking about entire families wiped out. At the beginning, J.J. Goldberg was whining that there isn't enough coverage of Israel being bombarded, as if there's any comparison whatsoever, not just to what Israel is doing to Gaza now, but to what Israel has been doing to Gaza for 8 years, what Israel has been doing to Gaza since 1967, what Palestinians have been going through for decades, being forced off their land, being killed. I mean, we're not paying attention even to the West Bank. All eyes are on Gaza, but people are being killed in the West Bank. Land is being taken in the West Bank. The destruction of Palestine continues so that people like JJ can sit in New York and pontificate about how American Jews in North America need a spare country so that they can feel safe. The destruction of Palestine has to end.
Let J.J. Goldberg, last 15 seconds.
I hardly know what to say.
Call it a disservice, JJ, why don't you?
Well, we're going to have to leave it there.
We're going to have to leave it there.